Fundraising prep is where rounds are won, but most founders treat it like a side quest. They dip in and out, tweak a deck, take a few calls, then wonder why no one's investing. And look, let me be clear, the prep is the fundraise. And staying motivated during this part is the hardest, but most important thing you'll ever do. You're not going to fail because you're lazy. You're struggling because this part feels invisible. There are no dopamine hits. There's no validation, no wins in terms of what you're doing. Just potentially Google Sheets or the Notion or the narrative rewrites or the CRM builds or the deck feedback or whatever it is on what we're going to be doing. It's going to feel slow. It's going to be boring. Sometimes you feel pointless. But here's the thing, it's not. This is the work that separates the founders who raise fast from the ones who flail for months and then end up shutting down their business. So if you are bored right now, good. That means you're doing it right. Because look, motivation will fade. That's normal. So we can't rely on motivation. We need to rely on the systems that we're building to make sure that you can successfully fundraise in the right way. So here's the baseline structure I want you to follow each week during this prep to make sure that we're at the exact position we need to be to fundraise successfully. First thing we need to do is we need to block time. We need to set 2 to 3 hours a day purely for fundraising. Not when you have time in your calendar. Phone off, no distractions, specifically in your calendar. The second thing we need to do is we need to track inputs. Each week, we need to track 3 different things. How many connectors you've mapped and what your network looks like, what we've done in our narrative, and what you've actually shipped by Friday. We don't want to worry about investor replies. All we can really do is we can focus on what you can actually control. Then we need to do a weekly commitment review. We need to ask yourself every Friday, what did I finish? What didn't I start? What did I avoid? That's how you stay accountable and self-correct early so we're not missing out on loads of things in the fundraise and not doing what we're doing. We also need rituals, not hype. We need to pick a start of a day ritual to get into the flow. Maybe it's reviewing your CRM. Maybe it's rereading your one-liner and what you're doing in your vision. Maybe it's watching a clip of a founder who just raised. You need to anchor your brain and prime your intent so that when we do the work on the fundraise, we're being really specific on what we're doing. And at the end of the week, we have to have a closeout ritual. Do a brain dump of what moved the needle. Look back at the traffic light systems that we've done to see where you've worked and fixed on it. You can send a quick update to me to be accountable on what you're doing. And re-block your calendar for next week if you haven't to make sure that you keep doing the work at the right time. What this is going to do is this is going to create rhythm, and rhythm builds momentum, and momentum compounds. And this is what's going to allow you to fundraise successfully. Now, here's the part that most founders don't prepare for. And that's week 3 or 4, you're just going to hit a dip. And that's just going to happen. You're going to start thinking, this isn't working. Maybe I should just start reaching out. I'm wasting time, or whatever it is. And this is where most founders panic. And you either launch unprepared or you don't do the necessary things that are going to make you successfully fundraise. So maybe you send the deck early, you start taking cold calls or cold email, then you are going to get vague maybes, you're going to burn investor relationships before you're ready. You don't want to be that founder. We want to push through the dip because the breakthrough happens after it, not before. And finally, we just want to zoom out for a second. There's going to be a lot of information and there will be moments of overload. Some parts are going to feel disjointed, especially in that kind of dip phase of 3 to 4 weeks. That's normal, right? We can't expect us to be perfect. But if you keep going, you keep working the system, things are going to start to click, whether that's meeting more investors, whether that's how you're building your narrative, all of this stuff. You're going to start connecting the dots. You're going to build momentum. And what felt messy at the start will feel obvious in hindsight once you successfully fundraise. You just need to stick with it. So stop chasing motivation. Build your systems, own your rituals, push through the dip, and keep showing up, especially when it's uncomfortable. And I'll be there to help you. And if you want to raise like a pro, this is where it starts. So let's get to work.